Welcome everyone, my name's Dom and I got a rant for you today. Okay, so today is June 15th, 2021, right? And today was the last day of E3. Now, E3 it concluded basically with Nintendo Direct and, Nintendo showed off some games, all this other like that. What the problem has been is for the past few weeks, we have been hearing nothing, or at least I have been hearing nothing. We've been talking about it on the podcast, and basically Nintendo Switch Pro, Nintendo Switch Pro, Nintendo Switch Pro all week. And the point of this rant isn't to bash on Nintendo, right? Because Nintendo didn't say anything about the Nintendo Switch Pro. And I understand that Nintendo did not say that they were going to announce new hardware. They never committed to anything. They never promised anything. That is not the point of this rant. I get that, right? But the issue that I have is these E3 conference things, these Nintendo Directs and the State of Play, they seem to have stopped. I don't know this for a fact, but they seem to have stopped being about showing off the latest and greatest stuff. And they seem to be more ad slots. E3 is the Super Bowl of video games, and companies are paying in to, get their position into these different conferences, into these different, slots and events and what have you, right? My issue is that Nintendo's PR department isn't dumb. They knew people were talking about the Switch. They knew people were talking about the Nintendo Switch, and they didn't come out and say, you know what, we're not announcing new hardware. Sony has made announcements like that when rumors were hitting high on particular things. Microsoft has made announcements like that, and I believe Nintendo has even made announcements like that in the past. Now, again, I don't know for a fact whether or not Nintendo is taking money for companies to slot themselves in and, announce their games for Nintendo Direct. If they are, then it's effectively advertisement. That's what it feels like, because a lot of the stuff that was there didn't really feel as relevant or as hand-picked and, Nintendo Switchy as it could have been. But again, my point is that if there is any truth to what it is that, that I believe to be the case here, Nintendo knew that the hype was up for the Nintendo Switch Pro. They knew that the hype was up for Breath of the Wild 2. They knew that they had a lot of hype. Now, I understand not saying a specific game won't be there, right? That you can end up screwing yourself. But they're probably in the same sense thought, we're not going to say that, that we're not going to announce hardware. We're not going to say that, but we're not going to say we are. We're just not going to say anything. Keep the hype up. And if in fact they're receiving money for slots on their stage, then guess what? You want to keep the hype up, because then you can charge more. And there's the problem that I have, because again, you know what? Like, it's not so much that I'm upset that a Nintendo Switch Pro wasn't announced. I like the Nintendo Switch. You know what? It has its flaws, but I definitely like the Nintendo Switch. I did a video on a bunch of the reasons why it's successful. My issue is managing expectations. Nintendo didn't need to maximize revenue on this or that or Nintendo Direct. They don't need to do any of that stuff. They need to be managing expectations. And I get it. It is not Nintendo's fault that, that all these rumors came out and all these leaks came out and all these different things came out. They haven't announced about this supposed console. People are making possibly decisions around whether or not they should pick up a Switch or not. People are there. It's again, you go in thinking, hey, this is what we're going to be getting. Nintendo hasn't said that they're not going to do it, and it's foolish of us to a degree to believe that they will. But Nintendo had the responsibility, in my opinion, Nintendo had the responsibility to its fans to basically say, you know what, guys, we know you're getting your hopes up, and we're sorry for all the leaks that are coming out, but there won't be any hardware announcements during this press conference. That's all they needed to do. That's all they needed to do. Not only did they not do that, but it just felt slightly underwhelming. The whole Nintendo Direct thing felt slightly underwhelming. It started off with a bit of a tease with a Breath of the Wild, and everyone's looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel to the original one that launched with the Switch back in 2017. And it started off with like Ganondorf from, if you're not familiar with Legend of Zelda, basically you got this bad guy, you got Link, you got Ganondorf, and Ganondorf was getting dragged up a mountain, and it ended up being a Tekken character, Kazuya, basically chucking him in to a volcano. And that advertisement was for Super Smash. And now that's cool. I love Tekken. I talk about Tekken all the time. I have streamed Tekken. I love Tekken. I think Super Smash is a super fun game. So I'm all for the mashup. But it was like something like 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes of showing a single character getting introduced to Smash. Again, I'm not against and making that announcement. The problem that I have is, that in people's minds, there's these expectations. Now, they did announce Breath of the Wild 2, or they showed us a trailer, right? They showed us some of the gameplay. It looks freaking sweet. I definitely am super excited to be able to play that one. I really did like the original Breath of the Wild. So I'm happy that they showed stuff. But between then, it was just this sort of this hilly, bumpy ride of just, I mean, there was some cool stuff, right? They had Metroid. I know one of my friends was excited about Monkey Ball, and most of the stuff wasn't very interesting to me. They had the Persona 5 thing. I can't even remember what it's called. Whatever the spinoff is for Persona, they had some cool stuff. And then they concluded with some Skyward Sword and some more Zelda stuff. And then they showed this Game & Watch thing, which I don't know, maybe I'm just completely like ignorant, but every time I go to the store, I see those Game & Watch things just like they filled the shelves, right? Like there's no Switches, there's no PlayStations, there's no anything, but there's Game & Watches. So I don't understand like the point of showing that stuff. It just, everything felt kind of just watered down, and it just felt half-assed, and not announcing the hardware, not denouncing that the hardware even exists or whether or not we're going to get it. I get not, saying whether or not it exists. I understand, you don't want to, you want to manage expectations to some degree. When it comes to this one, it just feels like, if in fact Nintendo is accepting revenue, that they took advantage of this hype train and they set up their fans and their players to have these high expectations. They themselves didn't set them up, but they allowed their expectations to be high. They allowed them to allow themselves to be high. I get it. I get why leaks are a problem. I get why these are issues, but it's just taking advantage of that hype. It seems like, oh, you know what, from their perspective, oh yeah, this is a great business decision. This makes sense. This is something we should do, but it's just like you guys. Like, you guys have enough money. Do right by your fans. That's what it's about. It is slightly disappointing. It is slightly upsetting. Is it the end of the world? No. We're going to get another Nintendo Switch console. We're going to get another Nintendo console at some point. My guess is 2022. That's my guess, because they're probably going to relaunch it with the Breath of the Wild 2, and that's when they're going to do it. And, that'll be whatever it is, like 5 years since the previous one, and then I think the Wii U came out in 2012. So it's like every little 5-year cycles. It just, the whole premise of E3, I remember a long time ago when E3 used to be the wow factor. It was the thing to see. It was the place you wanted to be. You wanted to see the trailers. And then this year is just like, really? That's what you guys got? That's the best you guys got? I mean, I get it. I get it. 2020 and 2021 have made things very difficult between COVID and the quarantine and everybody being locked up and working from home. It has made work very difficult. But I still feel like in that particular case, manage expectations. Sony wasn't at E3 at all this year. They just do their state of plays now, which recently have also not been very good. You expect to see just one little thing. I mean, but you know what? Sony at least has the balls to say, you know what, guys, we're not going to have all this stuff that you think we're going to be having. And you know what? I respect it. I respect it, especially if they are in fact selling slots to state of play, and that's just something that these companies do in order to make revenue. That's fine. But managing expectations is important to do for businesses, to your fans, to your customers, to the people who love your products. And that is the basic function of this rant. And Nintendo, I'm pretty pissed at you. I'm pretty pissed at you. Not because you didn't announce the hardware, but because expectations, you allowed people to continue to build up their expectations and did nothing about it. For whatever reasons you did, be it money or otherwise, it's still not right. And it is very disappointing. I am looking forward to a Nintendo Switch Pro. I am looking forward to playing Breath of the Wild. I am looking forward to the new Mario Party and all the other stuff that seemed very promising in this Nintendo Direct. But I just wanted to put this rant out there to say this isn't good, you guys. You need to be managing the expectations of your player base and your fans. It's important. Do us the honor. We give you the money, you give us the products, but you want to keep that trust high. You want to keep, and you know what? It doesn't even really matter because you guys are going to sell consoles anyway. So rant over. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the Direct, Nintendo Direct, again, throw it down. Please consider subscribing. If you're new here, definitely check out some of the new stuff. And as always, talk to you soon.